Hi there, Jules Poulin here, the Business RMT, and I'm so excited to be sitting with Laura Freitag, who is a labor, employment, and human rights lawyer. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jules.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and about how a lawyer can assist massage therapists.
So in terms of my background, I'm a management side labor and employment lawyer that also includes human rights law. I generally only act for employers, and those employers can range everywhere from a small business to a large multinational corporation. And where I come into play is to help them in all aspects of their business. My practice itself is very litigation focused. What that means is I'm involved in a lot of wrongful dismissal litigation, human rights proceedings, and grievance arbitrations. But I also have a lot of experience, and I also assist on what we call the solicitor side of law, which is the advisory side. And what that means practically is I'm retained by small businesses, large businesses, to give them advice before we've gotten to the litigation and human rights stage of the proceeding. So in terms of my service, I like to think that I help out in all things employment or work related that may arise over the course of your working life. With the pandemic, obviously that's been very interesting because it's really shined a light on the way in which our lives and work are so intertwined, and all the potential employment, labor, human rights, and just general life-related issues can arise during the course of your day-to-day life. So in terms of what I offer, it can be anything from I need a contract, okay, I have a contract for you. Or I need advice on how to disability manage. We have an employee who needs to be accommodated. How do I do that in a way that meets all of my human rights obligations as an employer or as someone who has independent contractors? Or I may get a call that says, I terminated an independent contractor. They're telling me I'm owed notice. How do I deal with that? And those are the times I sort of jump into the mix and try to help employers react to that. And my focus is on trying to fix all of those issues that may arise or be proactive about thinking about those issues so that other folks who are running the business can focus on what they do best, which is actually running the business.
Right, yeah. Awesome. So you're going to be giving 2 webinars for the Business RMT. Tell us a little bit about the first webinar, which is the COVID, the law and massage therapy webinar.
So this one has obviously been an interesting one with respect to COVID. And I think what I'll do is I'll back up a bit. I've been advising RMTs and health practitioners in general for quite a few years. And one of my favorite things about advising RMTs practically is that there's a lot of focus on, okay, client focus, patient focus, health and well-being in particular. And so oftentimes when I'm engaged to help RMTs with their business, there's already an attunement to some of the issues that may arise. And with respect to COVID, obviously the big one was safety. How do we ensure that we're keeping anyone who's coming in here safe, but also keeping the people who are working in our particular clinics safe? And so to the extent that we were developing policies around that, that would be an area that I would be engaged with pretty early on. A big one that has come up as of late is getting engaged on the mandatory vaccine side. A lot of employers have questions about what they can and cannot do, what they can and cannot mandate. And then the other aspects, just complying with some of your obligations that have come up as through the course of the pandemic.
One of the things that is coming up, a lot of the discussions amongst massage therapists right now are in regards to vaccines and what that means for the patients and what that means for independent contractors and employees. And I know amongst the people that I've been discussing with or having these discussions with, everyone wants to know what the rights are. And this, I think, is the biggest drive for this webinar, is that there are a lot of questions. And unfortunately, we don't have any guidance about how to manage that from a legal perspective. So if you were to give us, I guess, one piece of advice when it comes to COVID and massage therapy from a legal perspective, what would that be?
So if I were to give any piece of advice to RMTs who are wrestling with this issue now, is start to think about that. And if you have counsel, go to your counsel. This is not an issue where I would necessarily say, go fly solo and come up with your own mandatory vaccine policies. We're developing these for our clients, but we're developing them with each specific client in mind and with each specific workforce. And what that means is we have to have a policy that is tailored to that workforce, tailored to the specific risks they may face with respect to COVID-19 transmission, and also tailored to the potential accommodations that may arise in the course of the rollout of the mandatory vaccine policies. And that's the other thing I would flag. There are human rights exemptions available to either independent contractors or employees in the course of you rolling out that mandatory vaccination policy. And so it's really important that when you're rolling that out, you provide at least some space in the policy, or at least some mechanism to ensure that people can seek appropriate exemptions or accommodations where that is appropriate.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Laura. I'm really excited for your COVID-19, the law and massage webinar on September 14th. We look forward to seeing you at the Business RMT.
Looking forward to it as well. Thanks, Jules.
Great, thanks.